Hello everyone, welcome to A Stitch in Time. Today is Friday, it's January 31st, 2025, and this is episode 303. My name is Carol. I go by Knits and Pearls on Ravelry, and I live east of Vancouver in the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, Canada, where it is dark and wet and gloomy today. But you know, we need the rain. We need a much bigger snowpack to see us through the warm months. And we haven't had much of a winter yet. Normally we get quite a bit more precipitation, but lately it's been actually quite nice. So I think we'll take the rain, not like we have a choice. And then there is some more wintry weather predicted for next week. So we'll see what happens with that. We may even see a bit of snow. Before I get into everything, I want to extend a very special welcome and hello to any new viewers and subscribers. I'm not sure what happened, whether it was YouTube's algorithms that suggested my channel to more people, or whether someone mentioned me on their podcast, but last episode had a much higher than usual number of views. And so, and I have quite a few new subscribers. So welcome. Thank you for checking out my channel. I hope you like what you see and that you'll come back for some more. I thought maybe this would be a good time to just briefly reintroduce myself. As I said, my name's Carol. I live with my husband of 40 years. We've long been empty nesters. We have 3 children who are in their 30s and 3 grandchildren. I have been a crafter for most of my life. I love all sorts of fiber crafts. I learned to knit, I think, when I was in brownies, when I was probably about 7. I enjoy sewing and quilting, cross stitch. I can crochet. I bought a loom a few years ago and have enjoyed weaving, and last year I learned how to spin. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, then you're in the right place. So before I get into everything, I meant to mention this last episode, and I think the episode before, the terrible, terrible fires in California. And I felt so bad when I realized that I had neglected to say something, because, oh my goodness, what a terrible, terrible tragedy. Thankfully, it sounds like the fires are largely contained now, but oh, such a loss of property and so many people displaced from their homes. So my heart goes out to everyone who's been affected by that disaster. And then in an equally tragic vein, I learned, of course, of the plane and helicopter crash in Washington, D.C. I think that took place Wednesday night. Just, again, such a tragic situation, such a sad loss of life, and there's so many people whose lives are just going to be turned upside down. So again, my heart goes out to everybody affected by those. Now, I don't like to begin the episode on a sad note, but I do usually try to end on a happy one. I save my segment Something Good for the end normally, because I just like to leave things on a positive note, and I tend to be a person who sees the glass half full. I'm pretty optimistic about most things, and I really do try to look on the bright side even when life is, you know, not always so sunny. But today I am going to talk about something good first, because I can't contain myself. Quite frankly, it's been, especially the last few days, quite a whirlwind over here, or around here, I should say. So as I mentioned, my husband and I are empty nesters, and he's recently stepped back from an upper management position at work and is working the last couple of years in a less stressful position. He's not quite ready to retire, but he wanted to kind of ease into it. And along that same vein, we have been thinking about downsizing. We live in a 5-bedroom house with quite a big yard, lots to look after, and there's just the two of us. We don't even have a pet. So we had last summer hired an agent, gotten our place all ready to list just in case we found the perfect place that we wanted to buy. And not last weekend, but the weekend before, a condominium came up for sale. And we went and looked at it and really liked it. And all the strata documents and everything all panned out. And so we put an offer on it earlier this week. It was a little bit of countering back and forth. And the offer was accepted. I guess it was yesterday. It's such a blur. In the meantime, for the last couple of days, while this was in progress or in process, I was working, and Cameron too, when he was home, working very hard to get our house all cleaned up and ready to show, because all of the photos and measurements, everything's been done. It was just a matter of once we found a place we wanted to buy and have that offer accepted, then boom, our house was ready to go on the market. And it went on the market this morning. It is 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and we've already had one showing. Just after 1 o'clock, I got a message to see if someone could come see it at 2 o'clock. So I flew around here, put all the little things away that needed to go away, gave everything a quick other wipe down, ran the vacuum real fast, and out the door I went. I hadn't even had lunch, so I went and grabbed a bite to eat and sat in my car, and very quickly had 3 more viewings booked, or showings. I keep calling them viewings. I guess that's more like a funeral home thing, right? Showings. Anyway, there's another showing tonight, and one tomorrow afternoon, and one Sunday morning, and we'll see. Hopefully we'll have an offer or 2 come out of all that. It would be nice to be able to sell quickly so that we can for sure buy the place that we put an offer on. It is subject to sale, and so we only have a limited amount of time to sell our home. But we're off to a good start, so cross fingers for us. As my mom said, I think she said fingers and toes and arms, and I said and eyes and legs. So yeah, hope everything will go well. But it's very encouraging to have had so much action. We don't even have a sign on our lawn yet. The listing just went active this morning sometime. So yay, yay for that. I'm almost afraid to do anything in here. I don't want to mess anything up. This morning I was sitting and knitting and just try not to use anything. And it's a good thing, because then I didn't have very much I had to tidy up before I left, before the showing. But I do have quite a few projects that I want to talk to you about, and I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to do that again. Besides all the house stuff, there's other things going on, and so I'm not sure when I'm going to have an opportunity to record again. So I'm going to squeeze one in here this afternoon before Cameron gets home from work, and I will edit it as and when I can and get it up at some point later today, or most likely sometime over the weekend. Before I show you my works in progress, just a reminder, there is a very casual year-long chatter thread, there's a year-long make-along taking place in the A Stitch in Time podcast Ravelry group. called Stash Spectacular. It's super cash. All you do is chat about what you are making from your yarn, pattern, and fiber stash. And the last few years that I have run this, or hosted it, I guess, I have had regular prize giveaways. This year, it's just mostly for fun, and over the course of the year, I'll just randomly decide to award a pattern prize or two. So if it's mostly this year about just camaraderie, and who doesn't like showing off their projects and talking about yarn and other fibery goodness. So I hope you will join in over there. Okay, works in progress. I have been working on a pair of socks for my husband. His birthday is at the end of February, and so I'm working on these when he is not around. I cast these on, I think it was the end of November. I was kind of in between November's socks and December's socks. I did a personal sock yarn club last year for myself, and I needed something to work on. So I cast on this yarn from Crafty Jack's Boutique. It is the Tough and Tender Fingering, which is 90% superwash tarky, 10% nylon, and this is the Rocky Shores colorway. So I hadn't had very much done on this, but kind of decided that I'm gonna work on it in the morning when I get up. I always sit down and have a cup or two of tea and knit, and Cameron by that time's gone to work, and so I can work on them without him seeing them. So I cast on 68 stitches on a 2mm needle. I usually do 16 rounds of 2x2 rib, and then I'm just doing plain stockinette, and I'm just doing a regular traditional slip stitch, heel flap, and gusset. And I'm so mad at myself. So the thing is when you cast on, if you do, usually do 64 or 72 stitches. And when I do that, they are divisible in two by, it's an even number. Well, I guess it's all even numbers, but what am I trying to say? When you do that and you have work on magic loop and you have half the stitches on one needle and half the other, you begin with a knit 2 and you end with a purl 2, and then you begin with a knit 2. When you turn it around, work the other side. But with 68 stitches, you end with a knit 2, begin with a purl 2, and I prefer to begin my round with a knit stitch. And so I always slip 2 stitches onto the other needle for the ribbing, and then I slip them back when it's time to do the leg. Well, guess what? I got all the way through the heel flap and started to do the heel turn, and the numbers weren't working out. And I counted again. Then I realized I had neglected to slip those 2 stitches back to the other needle. So I had 36 stitches on one needle and 32 on the other, and that's why the heel wasn't working out. And so I had to rip out the heel flap and start it again. So I got that far. So kind of a nuisance, but it's only knitting, not that bad. So yeah, I'll just tuck these away, work on them when I can, when Cameron is not around. I have also been working on what I call my gorgeous green Burmy Basic 18. I cast this on last March. It was actually, I think, the day after my birthday. It was gonna be my birthday cast on, and I think last episode I said I think I did the swatching on my birthday, but I actually cast it on the next day. But I am knitting this sweater from 2 different yarns held together. One is from the Mineville, I think this tag says that, yeah, Mineville Wool Project. And it's 100% merino DK single ply. And I have 2 250 gram skeins. It didn't have a colorway. I'm gonna guess maybe 3009 is the colorway. And then I had a skein of Saldana. That's from Fleece Artist. It's a lace weight, merino, 100% merino lace weight, and it is in the cedar colorway. And so I put the two together. There's my swatch, and liked the way it looked, and cast this on. And then, you know how things are, you get distracted by other things. Last episode I showed it to you, I was still on the body, but as you can see, I've since done the ribbing and bound off, and now I am partway down the first sleeve. Now, I knew this would probably happen. You can see that the variegation is different a little bit on the sleeves. I actually started the sleeve, did the first inch or so, and I am alternating skeins, but they just happen to be alternating where the bright green parts were on the same side of the sleeve, and so the back of the sleeve was much plainer. So I did rip it out, restart where the yarns began, but I'm not gonna be able to really control that. It's just, it is what it is, and actually on camera it doesn't look that bad. And even in real life, you can tell it's different, but it's also a smaller circumference, so these little bright bits are coming up at a different rate. Plus, I'm working from another, now I'm, ways into the skeins, and often in hand-dyed skeins, the insides are, or I'm not sure if it's the insides or the outsides. I think the outsides are often more variegated, brighter, and you often will see a difference within a hand-dyed skein between the inner, one end and the other, just the way they're dyed. And so, I just think I only have so much control over those things. So I'm just going with it. I love this color. I think it's gonna be beautiful when it's done. I was a little nervous about fit, but I did try it on, and I think it's gonna be okay. So happy to be working on that, though it's not that exciting. It's just, stockinette and some decreasing right now. So not the most exciting project, but it'll be really nice to have it finished. And this is a bag that I sewed for myself, I think a couple years ago. Love the sunflowers on here. And then I've also been working on another sweater, and I don't think I have the pattern here. I am going to put a picture of it in here. It's called the Sparkle Pullover, or I think it's just called Sparkle, and that's Sparkkle by Kirsten Michelle. I am knitting this. The main part of it is this Cascade 220 Sport, color 4002, which is Jet. And I might as well combine my acquisition section. I had some of this left over in stash from a sweater I had made for my husband. Couldn't get any locally, so I ordered some from Webs. So that came since last episode. And then I also have a spinning set that I received from Fiber Nymph Dye Works that I had, it's a mixed BFL in the colorway A Legacy. And I had spun it all and done a chain ply, which is a method of plying 3 plies together with varying results. As I worked my way through the colors, my singles got bigger, and so my first yarn and my last yarn were quite different in the amount of yardage I got out of it, and therefore, like, whether it was, I think my first ones were quite close to a sport weight, fingering to sport, and then the last ones are probably more like DK to worsted. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to use them together anyway, and I really wanted to do some sort of chevron pattern because this colorway was based on the dyer's grandmother's Afghan, and that is Lisa from Fiber Nymph. And I just felt like I wanted to sort of give a nod to that. And so I had considered the Karina pullover, which has the chevron pattern in the body area, and for various reasons, partly not sure if I would have enough of all the colorways, partly because I wanted to see right away if I was gonna have enough, and that one was knit from the top down, so by the time I figured it out, the sweater would be mostly knit. There was another pattern that had some patterning in the yoke. Oh, I know, it was my through stone cardigan. I mentioned that last episode. I thought maybe I can find a chart and sub it in there because I liked the way it fit, and it was a sport weight garment. But then I realized it was knit from the bottom up, so that didn't work. Anyway, long story long, I came across this sweater, and although I'm not doing the colors the way it's done in the pattern, I am using the charts, and I have finished all of the chevron patterning on the yoke, and I'm very happy with how it's turned out. So why don't I show that to you? Now, keep in mind the chevrons are hand spun, and keep in mind that they are different weights, and so it's a little bit bumpy, a little bit thick in areas, but that's sort of that's the nature of hand spun, and I don't care. I'm very, very happy with how it's worked out. I still have all of them attached because until I get to where I separate this for the sleeves and make sure it fits, I don't want to break off any of the yarns. But I actually laid this out over my through stone cardigan, and it lines up beautifully. So I think the fit is going to be fine. But yeah, look how pretty. And I had such a hard time putting this down. We went away last weekend to go see my mom, and I really toyed with taking it with me, and I thought, no, it's just gonna be too much of a nuisance. I think I had gotten up to the end of the first blue here, or I guess the second blue, and I was like, oh, it's just too much of a nuisance to take. So it was something to look forward to and work on when I got home at the end of the weekend. So yeah, and I decided that because I have 7 colors, and just with the width of the patterning compared to the chart in Sparkle, I didn't want this area to be too narrow. And so I thought, well, let's start with the purple and end with the purple. And I thought that gave a nice framing to the color work. And yeah, and so this color work also goes at the bottom of the sleeves. And I have plenty to do that, so I am going to, in part because I want to use it up, and in part because I'm taking part in the Fiber Nymph Dye Works Choose Your Own Adventure make-along this year, and it does have a Fiber Nymph Dye Works component where if you use a certain amount of Fiber Nymph Dye Works yarn and or fiber, you can qualify to get a special skein at the end of the year. But if you're using other yarns, your Fiber Nymph Dye Works yarn has to comprise at least 25% of the object. So I'm hoping that when I'm all said and done, it will. And you know what, if it doesn't, that's not the end of the world either. I can still enter the sweater, for the regular part of it. But yeah, super happy with that. And then, I've also, I wanted to show this. This is a stitch marker that was one of the stitch markers that was available as part of this A Legacy collection. I can't get it. It's like Tree of Life. So I am using that as my end of round marker for this project. And then I also had ordered a skein of the Bounce base, which is a superwash merino nylon base for a pair of socks. And I decided to also do the same thing, incorporate some sort of chevron patterning into the project. So I am working up the heel toe do-si-do socks by the Crazy Sock Lady Designs. And I've knit them before, and they just are perfect for self-striping yarn. So that's how it looks on the front. And then that's how it looks on the back. Now, this is, as I mentioned, a superwash merino nylon base, and the sweater is a mixed BFL base, and so I find it very interesting just how the colors dye up on the different yarns. It's much more muted, obviously, in the sweater, but equally beautiful. And so I did order a couple of mini skeins with the set. I ordered this blue, I think it's navy blue, and then I also, or dark navy, it's called dark navy, and then I got eggplant. And I wanted to get to the point of doing the heel to see which color worked best. And I ended the leg with the dark navy, and so since the next stripe was going to be eggplant, I decided to use that for the heel. So I have done the heel on one of them. I did a eye of partridge heel just to add a little bit of interest to the plain heel. I'm not sure how well you can see it in this light. I think you've got an idea of the texture here. And so I have done the heel, and now I am working on the gusset decreases. So enjoying those. I worked on these. This is what I end up taking with me up to my mom's and working on these socks in the car on the way there and on the way back. And so, and some since then. Last night I finished the second leg and started the heel. I did the heel in one of them last night. So working my way through that. So that is it for all of the knitting this week, but I also did some spinning. I will put a picture here of what the braid looked like before I spun it. It's from Useful Creations, a local to me dyer, and I decided to try a fractal spin. So what I did is I took the entire length of the fiber and I split it in half. And I spun one half from beginning to end on one bobbin. And then I took the second half and I split it into 4 lengthwise and spun those 4 ends back to back. And then I plied the 2 together. So this creates lots of barber poling, and it did not disappoint. Look how pretty it turned out. And this took no time at all to spin up. I was in a spinning mood. I hadn't spun for a couple of weeks, and it helped keep me a little bit distracted with all the things going on. And so when I was doing some housework, I would do housework and then I'd come, I was onto the plying by then, and so the other day, and so I would sit down and ply for a few minutes as a reward, and then I'd go clean something else and do some more. And so it's all washed and dried now. I haven't figured out how much yardage I have. It was really interesting though. I very carefully weighed things out when I split it, and I had, between the 2 bobbins, I think I only had a few, like something like 4/10 of a gram difference or something like that. Very little difference between the 2 bobbins, but I must have spun the end-to-end bobbin more thickly because I ended up running out of it first, and then I just wound off the rest of the second bobbin, and then I plied it like one end with the other end until I ran out. So I have like that much from my second bobbin, and then that much from my first. So I'll bring it in a little bit closer so you can hopefully get a sense of all the barber poling. And then of course at the beginning, I started with the burgundy, and so I did overlap burgundy on burgundy in some places. And like here you can see the gold and the orange a bit, like some colors overlapped, but in lots of places they did not. So lots of beautiful barber poling. And then this one, much the same. So I can, you know, probably incorporate this into the same project if I get to the end and need a little bit more. So I am not sure what I'm going to do with this yet, but I really cannot wait to work it up because it's just so pretty. This was one of the braids of fiber I got from my daughter and family for Christmas. I did pick it out myself, but yeah, I was in the mood to spin and open my bin of fiber, and it just called to me. I just love all these colors, and I just love the difference between, I'll put the picture here of the braid again so you can see, you know, the results. I love that about spinning, is you just never know how it's all going to turn out. Okay, I already mentioned for acquisitions that I did get the Cascade 220 Sport in the mail. And then I also had a very lovely surprise come from a longtime viewer. You know who you are. She sent me this lovely card and this very handy folding storage box. And what I told her is I sit in the same spot in the living room to work on things, and I always have a collection of things sitting beside me on the table, which gets very cluttery. So I've got like my microfiber cloths for wiping off my iPad, and I've got, you know, notions and my headphones, and I have this little dish with like lip balm and stitch markers and a tape measure, etc., etc. So now everything can just sit in here and be easily just put away when I'm not using them, out of sight, especially important right now. And so thank you again so much. Super thoughtful of you to think of me and to send this, and came at the perfect time. So we'll definitely get a lot of use, and I'm going to keep the card in here. So there's a little pocket along the side. It fits in perfectly, so I'll keep that all together. Okay, sorry, I keep seeing a couple of messages pop up on my screen, but nothing important, so I'm going to keep going. Oh yeah, I meant to say, I just went to put something on for recording, some kind of knitted item, and I ended up pulling this out of my sweater collection. This is Whistle Stop by Carol Feller. I knit it back in 2016 from some yarn called KFI Collection Painted Desert, and it is a color changing yarn, very similar idea to like a Zauber ball or something that has, I don't know how well you can see it's got a little bit of pilling on it. It's like different plies, kind of like a lot of barber poling and color changing. Maybe you can see it better on there. So the colors go all through it. You can see it goes from different shade of green, and then this purple comes into it, etc. And so it was fun to knit. What I hadn't remembered is I went back and read my project notes, and I guess I had one ball of this and wanted to make this sweater out of it, but couldn't find any online. And then I happened to be in a yarn shop somewhere, which I don't even remember where it was, maybe on Vancouver Island somewhere. Anyway, apparently I found 2 balls of it, and coincidentally they ended up being the same dye lot as the ball I had, and so it was meant to be. So I will scoot my chair back and stand up a bit. I'm a little bigger than I was when I knit it, so I'm just leaving it open. Just have a t-shirt on, but you can see it has some patterning on it. And then here you can really see where the colors change. And then it has this garter detail, it's like a saddle shoulder, and down the sleeve. And I can't remember, is there patterning on the back? You tell me, because I can't see. So, yeah, that's what I'm wearing. So as I mentioned, we did go to see my mom last weekend. It was her birthday, day before yesterday. We always try and go up sometime around her birthday and celebrate with her. So we did go out for dinner to the Legion with some friends also, and we met them there on Friday night. We went up, we left here Friday morning. And then we had talked about going out for dinner Saturday night, but we decided to stay in, and so we kind of collaborated on dinner. And we did on Saturday morning, we did a video call with all of my sisters and brothers-in-law. We had gotten together and given my mom some birthday gifts, which she had taken home with her at Christmas time. And so we had this video call. She opened all her gifts. We all got a chance to see each other and her. And so that was a nice visit. And then that afternoon we went out to our family cabins, which are about 17 kilometers, 10 miles from where my mom lives. And walked around in the snow a little bit, checked out things, made sure everything was okay in the cabins. We did have a tree that's come down. Thankfully, it's leaning right now against some other trees, so it hasn't fully come down, but the trunk cracked and it went, but thankfully it's not on any buildings. It's gonna end up over the creek, and there is a wood pile there that it will come down on, but I mean, that's no big deal. That could be built up again. So thankfully, nothing too serious. And then, yeah, we stopped at the friend's place on the way back to town, the same friends that we had met the night before for dinner, and had a long visit at their house. It was supposed to be like just a little afternoon happy hour visit, but I think we didn't get back to my mom's till like after 7:30 or something. So we had a fashionably late dinner, but a good chance to visit. So all in all, a very nice weekend. We came home, left her place, dropped her off at church, and then headed out in the morning. And so we had all afternoon and evening at home after we went and did a bit of grocery shopping. I think last episode I mentioned I've been having problems with my foot, so I had a doctor's appointment this week. My x-rays are fine. She determined, yes, it's just something that orthotics should fix, and so next week I have an assessment appointment, and then I will be getting orthotics, so hopefully that solves my problem. I also had it's actually up here. I had a spot on my arm that I was a bit concerned about. It was likely just like a plugged hair follicles, of something of that nature. So I did have it removed also this past week, and we'll go back next week to get stitches off. So that'll be good. She'll send it out to be tested, but it should be all right. But it's been kind of on my mind whenever you see something a little off, it's always a little bit worrying. So that should thankfully be fine. Let me see. Anything else on my notes here? I don't think so. So, yes, depending on what happens, it might be a while before I record again. Not next week, but the week after. I have to report for jury duty on the Monday. And if I get selected, it's supposed to be about a 3-week trial. I am really hoping, especially now, that that doesn't happen. But if it does, and combined with potentially having to start packing and things like that, when I record next is going to be very much up in the air. So just keep an eye out. If you click on the little bell for notifications, you should get notified when a new episode is up. I never remember to say, if you like the content, please do give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Maybe that's what happened, and look at all the new viewers I got. So I appreciate you doing that whenever you do. And I really do enjoy the interaction with all of you. So thank you for the engagement. Okay, I think that's it. So, Cameron's probably home in about a half an hour or so. So I'm gonna see if I can get this started editing. I don't think I made any cuts. And so it should be pretty straightforward, just putting a couple pictures in here and there and then working on show notes. So again, wish us luck. I will let you know what happens. But yeah, seems like we're off to a good start. So very excited, very nervous, feeling a little bit overwhelmed, but I think it's all for the good. And it was good just to talk to you this afternoon. I had planned to record and had done show notes this morning, and then everything kind of went sideways. So I'm glad I was able to still record, and this gave me something to do to work off a little bit of nervous energy. And so thanks for listening and watching and helping me with the distraction. Anyway, everyone, take care, enjoy your crafting. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you again very soon. Take care till then. Bye.